Welcome to another episode of Drew's Sports Crew here on this Monday night. Myself, Drew Skyberg, here bringing you the news in the Wisconsin sports world as always. And look, we had a wild past week, right? We go from a great Brewers week, but we also then have Jay Jackson, an MLB reliever, right, from 2019, that 2019 club, have him on the show. Want to thank his agency. They reached out and just said they had a great guest, and I was like, they sure do. And we were able to arrange that and put together just a great 30 minutes with Jay Jackson talking through the 2019 Brewers, a guy who played for Craig Counsell and also Pat Murphy, right, as a bench coach, but then also was with Murphy in San Diego for a bit. So if you want to hear an episode kind of highlighting that Brewers team. He talked about some of the players, his favorite guys. Jeremy Jeffress was mentioned. And then we also just went through some games, talked about the ever-changing game of baseball. Again, that episode you can just find on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Check that out. I can link it as well. Otherwise, we know Wisconsin sports world. We've been gifted with a great week of the Packers had a great preseason game. Although the Brewers did not win tonight, we'll touch on how this past week went. We'll get through some games, but probably a brief episode with that. But let's get into it here. We have to, of course, warm up before we talk baseball. We'll round the episode out with some football, but let's do an immaculate draft. We did a grid last time. I think it's only right if we do the draft this go around. So let's kick it off. Let's start catcher. Let's see who we get. Name this MLB player. This is Yoan Moncada. That's my guess. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, see. Okay. We are 1 for 1. All right. Next up, which player had the nickname Porterhouse? I don't know. I would say Alan Porter's an umpire, right? Well, I don't know. Daryl. Mike Napoli's nickname was Porterhouse. I did not know that. Who is the only active player to be? This is either Jeff McNeil or Brandon Nimmo. I used to know this. I think it's Nimmo. It is Brandon Nimmo. There you go. All right, 2 for 3 so far. Is that Adam Eaton? That looks like Adam Eaton. That's Adam. I was going to say Adam LaRoche, and then I said Adam Eaton. That's on me. Okay, that's a tough one there to take. Okay, played for, I think this is supposed to say Padres. It says parents. Played for the White Sox, Cubs. He did not play for the Cardinals. Yeah. Okay, who are the only 2 teams to host an All-Star game, win the World Series, and induct a Hall of Famer in a 1-year time span? Wow, this is I was going to say Texas, right? Rangers hosted one and inducted. Rangers. Okay. Well, there you go. Name this MLB player. We have White Sox, and then we go from White Sox to Giants, and then this is Carlos Rodon. All right. These are easy so far, I'd say, other than me messing that one up with Adam LaRoche. Who are the only players who have won an Olympic gold medal and a World Series? Oof. We know Brewer Ben Sheets got one, but I don't think he got that World Series. My guess is like Cliff Lee. Nope. I wasn't actually getting any of those guys, so that's okay. Yuli Gurriel, I would not have guessed him. Okay. Here we go. Last one. We have Phillies from 2013 to 2019, Guardians 2020, 2021, White Sox 2021. This is a reliever, I think, right? Well, now I'm not gonna get it. No, I was thinking the right way, like Howie Kendrick. I was thinking some veteran like that. No, no, not Howie. Um, I don't know who this is. I would get pitcher. I think it seems like a pitcher. Is it Lurie Garcia? That was my okay. Cesar Hernandez. It was a position player, and I guess the guy who had the same years and who played for the Nationals, but that does not work. All right, solid 5 out of 9 here. Let's get into the show now. After a bit of a baseball game here, so we're gonna start with the Brewers, right? I mean, they're coming off their best offensive stretch of the year, right? Let me read you. We're gonna forget that Washington series, right? We had Jay Jackson on last Monday on an off day, and then the Brewers went 10 zip on Tuesday. They won 8-5, 16-7. Jackson Churio puts himself as a top, at least top 5 rookie of the year candidate, one of the best rookies in all baseball, one of the best players in all of baseball since June 1st. His hitting stats there rank top 5 across all baseball in terms of how he's performed since then, and he's been just a phenomenal player. And we've seen his strikeout rate get almost cut in half. Right now, his strikeout rate's more around 16% than it was in the high 20s. And when your strikeout rate's that low and you're hitting the ball hard, you're going to have good numbers, and that's what we've seen with Churrios. He's, if we take that pace that he's been on since like June 1st, it puts out to be like a 20 plus home run year with the plus speed, a 280 average, OPS like over 800. Like you're talking about an all-star, which is pretty exciting, to think about considering how they've performed and how this team's been. So they have the 8-3 win on Friday on Apple TV. You got another one of those games in. They win it again. They won both the Apple TV games 8-3. I thought that was fun. And then the William Contreras City Connect replica Jersey Day, they win 1-0 on Saturday. Great time for that. And then, of course, Sunday, they unfortunately lose by 1, and then they lose today. But overall, right, in a 6-game week, you'll take the 5-1. Cardinals were losing games. Cubs actually were winning a little bit, but now the lead is like around 8 games or so, give or take, just depending on tonight's results, how that all shakes up. But Brewers are more in a spot for that 2 seed, but we do know that, well, of course, with them losing tonight, the season's. I believe how it still works, right? I mean, this is how it's been was with the tiebreakers we've had in the past for that 2 seed. It goes to head-to-head record, and that's how it's historically been done. Then it'll go to division record if it was a tie head-to-head, but that's how I expect it to be done. On that, I'll know more, or we'll all know more as we get closer here to how that is. But right, 7.5 up on the Cardinals, you'll take that. The run differential now, of course, after a big week offensively, now plus 100. We're looking at one of the best run differentials actually in the NL, and it is the best run differential in the NL, which is pretty shocking to think about. Plus 103. The run differential is only behind. If I'm reading this right, we're only behind the Yankees, who are plus 107. Obviously, having some big wins in there helps, but just shows the amount of runs this team's put up and how they've performed doing so. So, right, 67-51. They are 2 games behind the Phillies. Again, really 3 if we look at it like that, and then 3.5 behind the Dodgers. So, with adding that extra game in there, as they don't had just to beat them outright, not to tie. So, that is an important thing, but otherwise, you're looking at a wild card series, hosting that at home again. We know how frustrating those have been in the past, so I don't want to get too ahead of either. Right? It's only mid-August. You still got another month, well over that of baseball. But point is, the team's been playing well. Ray Colin Ray's been pitching very well. We see him tomorrow. I'll be at the game. Um, Tobias Myers, how about him? He's been pitching very well. I did a fun thing. I went on the Statcast page and I wanted to look at best spin rates, just see something with that. And you go to best spin rates on the fastball, you see Tobias Myers, you see him there on the cutter, both number one. So it's, there's nothing about like him just getting lucky, or you might hear, well, low velo, not a lot of movement. He's spinning the baseball, and that's been something that's really helped him get swing and misses, but also really miss barrels and get outs, and that's something that um, the Brewers have really worked with him and have gotten his spin rates to be the top of the game for the fastballs. And he throws them at a high clip, not a high speed, but he throws them a lot and he gets outs, and that's what you want to look for. And that's what they've kind of done with Colin Ray too, not to the same extent, but Ray's getting a lot more whiffs than you would ever think a guy like Colin Ray would get, and he's just been consistent. And we'll see how he fares against the Dodgers tomorrow. He's a guy when he's not on his game, he's susceptible to the home run. We saw Peralta give up a couple tonight, but that's something against the Dodgers you don't want to do. So we'll see. But this is the toughest part of the schedule. I mean, like, it's at home, but like in terms of like when like teams that have won, I wouldn't say it's like the toughest in terms of like road trip. Like we know how the West Coast trips always treat them, but they have Dodgers for 4, and they have Guardians or not. Yeah, they do. Dodgers for 4, and then Guardians for 3. All home games, thankfully, though. This is a tough homestand in terms of the teams you're seeing. 2 of the best teams in all baseball. You already lose the first one. Thank goodness they're out home. You get rewarded with an off day next Monday, but then you got St. Louis for 3 at St. Louis, and that's pretty big in terms of trying to lock this division up. So, look, this is going to be a tough week, but you get Freddie Peralta on 2 starts. Hopefully that means well. You'll get Myers later this week. DL Hall, right? I mean, talk about him. He had 9 strikeouts on Sunday, but then gets optioned after. Still, the command is like he was getting the whiffs again. Another guy getting strikeouts, but it's still the walks. He had 3 walks and on Sunday, which but that's been something before his lengthy IL stint. He had an issue with was really just maintaining command. I personally think he's more of a reliever type, and that's just kind of how we've seen him in the postseason last year with Baltimore, right, as he was in the Burns trade. We saw Hull count with the pen, and he was slinging it and pitching well. And I think that's more of a role for him than a starter. But I get the experiment and the want to. Maybe next year they test it out and see how it goes, and then just forget it if it does not prevail. But that's just something to look at. Terrain got hot again a little bit. That was the other thing. He got the numbers back up a bit. The average has dipped down to 257, and same with OPS. But he was getting on base a little bit over this past week, and then that's really helped his steals too. He's up to 33 stolen bases now. Contreras too has been hitting the ball hard at some really hard hit balls tonight. Nothing to show for him either. But his stats, his OPS is down to 800, but after the big offensive week again for this team, it's been Willy Adames, who is 2 home runs last week in the game, and then adds a few more. He's up to 21 home runs, 80 RBIs. And he's just been great. We talk about him. He's one of the streakiest hitters you'll see. But when he's on, and you'll take that. You'll take the off days. You'll take the days where he has 3 strikeouts because of what he can do. He's a difference maker. He can win you a game. He won't lose you a game, but he will definitely win you a game. He might contribute to the loss, but he'll never be that sole reason, So that's just something you like to see for him. Sal Frelick had a nice game last week against the Braves in that big 16-run outburst. The guy we want to see get going. Gary's gotten more at bats too after being back. We did see the news today. This is the one thing I'll talk about. that happened today was with Blake Perkins getting moved to the 10-day IL. We did see Tyler Black get called back up, so that was a surprise for people, and seeing him in Milwaukee today before the game. So Black is up, and we'll see if he can get some good at bats. Maybe we'll see him tomorrow. I bet we will see him tomorrow. They have Gavin Stone pitching a righty who's put up some good numbers this year. Brian Hudson's also back. That's a guy you need back. So this team's getting healthier. It's getting guys. So look forward to seeing them all get back and get healthy and win some games here. So that's the Brewer talk. Let's go over the Packers here before we wrap up. Packers, right? Week 1 preseason gets the job done. 23-10 is your final. Look, this game was something, right? I say, right? You see, you know, you're getting one drive out of Jordan Love. That was like the gimme, right? We knew that, and you get that, and you don't get much of it though. He gets a touchdown right away, 65 yards. Love to Wicks, beautiful throw, and then the Dontavian Wicks hype. If it wasn't any, it was already crazy. It gets crazier, is what we see. There are people right in the fantasy football community, for example, they think Wicks is going to be the guy this year in Green Bay. They think he's going to either be like 1A, 1B with Reed or / Watson, or they think he is the guy. So a lot of people bullish on him. And look, he played well, and I mean, he got that 65-yard touchdown there, and it was again nice route. He's a separation guy, and that's why people like him. Gets that Packers up 7-zip, and then 7-3 as they get Cade York for them, gets a field goal. But Emmanuel Wilson got the bulk of the running back work. That was kind of that was expected, right? You know, Jacobs and Dillon weren't going to get a lot of work. Marshawn Lloyd, this is kind of what happened, was he got injured, is what they mentioned before the game, in warm-ups with his hamstring or some aggravation there. So Lloyd wasn't really good to go. He had a carry or so in the game, but from there we knew that it was going to be Emmanuel Wilson who gained the bulk of the work. And look, he's played well. He deserves a roster spot. I know that they would be them carrying 4 running backs, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense, you might think, but he's really earned it last year too. You know, he's even got carries in games. I think he's a valuable guy on this team. You know, I know when you have those 4 guys, or 3 other guys rather, like it's like okay, but you know, I'm for them. I think those guys will all be safe. There's a couple guys in the receiver room who are really fighting for spots, like guys like Julian Hicks, Jalen Wayne. Those guys right now are the main ones we're looking at. But otherwise, you know, the team, I'll break down more of the scoring, and I know it's preseason scoring, so it's not that exciting, but Wilson gets that touchdown run. Anders Carlson got the field goal, and then they had Greg Joseph come out and kick one from 35. Carlson then kicks one from 33. So, yeah, Carlson made the 46-yarder. That was huge for him. Look, this kicking room is going to be interesting. Greg Joseph is we know he was with Minnesota. He's good enough kicker to be he could easily be the Packers starting kicker this year, right? I mean, I say easily. I mean, there's a reason he didn't have a job before, but there's also a reason why he's given a second shot, and he's a well-respected kicker. He can make the ones from 40+ out. You know, I think with Joseph, though, I think it's really comes down to, you know, he's going to be the more accurate kicker, but he doesn't have that same power that you could see from Carlson from 50+ out. But you know, he's a better bet to make the kick at the end of the day, and that's what, you know, he came out and kicked that 35-yarder. But yeah, the 46, they let Carlson take it. He did, and it'll be interesting to just see that kicking battle. That's just been an interesting thing all camp. I've read reports too on it, right? It's been back and forth. They've been really neck and neck. I think Joseph was winning out a bit, but you know, this was a big one for Carlson there. Getting on the board, making the extra points, things like that. So we have 2 more preseason games. We're going to be monitoring that situation because, you know, as simple as it is, we know how important a kicker can be. If you just go back to last season, you go back to prior years, you just know that the kicker matters, especially, you know, in those close games. So That was really the preseason talk on this game. We gotta wait more for the offensive line to see how it shakes out. They just had a lot of guys playing different spots. A lot of names we're familiar with, um, and some maybe you aren't, and that's something where, right, with their first round pick, Jordan Morgan, this past year, um, are we going to see him start right away? Maybe not. I definitely think he's going to be getting some. I think it's going to be kind of like Van Ness on defense last year. Obviously, it's a different situation. It's offensive lineman, but I think you're going to see him out there in some plays. But I don't know about seeing him out there all the time yet, especially these first couple games. So I think that's my prediction on kind of how it's going to shape up, as is many's. I think that's going to be how we'll see it. But yeah, the Packers preseason starts 1-0. Then they get next week. They get Bo Nix on Sunday at 7 p.m. is the game. Um, Look, Bo Nix for Denver. He'll definitely get the start for them. Um, I don't know even know if we'll see Love again. Probably see more Clifford again and some Pratt. Both are fun to watch, so that's fine with me. Even in preseason, those guys are fun to watch. But look, Bo Nix for Denver has played he played well this last game, rookie, and I'm intrigued to just see how he plays. I know it's preseason, I get it, but you just want to see how these guys, just how they handle it and so on. And then after that, you get one more preseason game. It's at home. Packers get the home preseason game against Baltimore. That game will be crazy before they send them off to Brazil, and they play the Eagles there. That game's going to be crazy. It's a Friday, 7:15 p.m. Football's going to be exciting. It's going to be good to be back. And with that, I do have one or two spots left on the Fantasy Football Podcast League. So if you're interested, you know how to reach out at True Sports Crew on all social platforms. Also, of course, all the content, whether it's YouTube Shorts, TikTok, Instagram Reels, and so on. Check it out at True Sports Crew, or again, True Sports Crew, wherever you find it. And that'll wrap it here for myself, Drew Skyberg. Have a great week, everybody. Go Brewers, go Packers, and of course, go Bucks. Happy belated birthday to Chris Middleton. Thank you all for listening to yet another episode of Drew Sports Crew, the perfect podcast for you.